What's
What's up,
raging,
gamers?
gamers? Hey, man, we're on cue today. Look at us. Look at you, Pikachu. What's going on, HenricK the Wreck?
I'm doing great, Chris. Another great day to rage. What
Hey,
about
that's
you?
right, baby. Oh, man, everything's good. You know, the SoCal weather's pretty wild right now. I mean, when you get a little bit of that light rain, you know what that means, HenricK, right?
Oh, it's gonna be flooding.
No,
We're
that's
gonna
not
get
it. We're
cold.
not weather reporters. It's time to game. It's time to stay isolated. No
That's
need to
true.
go
We
to
get to
work.
stay inside.
Stay inside, baby. That's the drill.
Yeah.
That's the motive. Hey, but we always like to have some fun at the top of the show. And I got this insane clip. And I know I want you all to isolate while you're indoors. But I'm going to
It's
just tell you
literally
right
2
now,
in the
HenricK,
morning.
if you did what this guy's doing
I'm
to
down
any
take
of my
over.
controllers in my man cave,
Man, she
we
got
throwing
something.
hands. Like,
No,
what a
100%,
savage.
dude.
What a savage.
No, really. What an animal. Like, I have a Elite controller when I play games with a controller. You're not doing that with that controller. That controller is way too expensive.
Yeah, especially with games costing $70, and then, a lot of the Xbox and PlayStation, and like you just said, and Nintendo pieces. Man, these controllers cost like $85, and to be like smacking, your fingers with the hot wings. That's insane.
Yeah. No, crazy.
But you know what was also funny was this cat. This was trending online over the weekend. This guy's got the ultimate Riz, I guess. I mean, I'm gonna just assume, HenricK, that this is his sister, because there's no way. I mean, I love gaming, but if I see a beautiful chick like that, I'm jumping off. How about yourself?
Is that the proof that you're not really a gamer? Is that what you're saying?
You got priorities. You know how to, fit in some good game time and then some game time in the bed. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing wrong with some sexy time. So he's like, what you're telling me is you're locked in the entire time? I mean, I feel bad for your girlfriend. I'm the one without a girlfriend. You're the one that has one.
I mean, I wouldn't say that necessarily, but I'll invite her to play if anything. Why not?
Well, the last I recall, she's a gamer as well, right?
Exactly, yeah. So
I think that goes back to our very first episode where we were joking about how you should be dating a gamer instead of a non-gamer. So what that example
does make things easier.
You ain't wrong about that. But you know what was also an amazing clip that I saw was anybody that knows the Miami Dolphins wide receiver, Tyreek Hill, he jumped on Fortnite, and it didn't necessarily
Tyreek Hill finds a group of bananas.
I'm on 40 here.
This is something you and I, HenricK the Wreck, we got to do to
Come
people,
on,
man.
bro. Don't. No. Hey, you can have your banana back.
How would you respond to that situation? I felt like he kind of paused a little too long.
Yeah, he hesitated. He should have just, boom, pulled the trigger.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, why throw the banana? It would have been funny if you eat it and then start capping.
Yeah, exactly. He hesitated, and that's why he died.
Kind of reminds me of me and my old homies. We used to jump on Grand Theft Auto 5 online, and we used to be the Fruit Gang. You remember the masks? There's like a strawberry, there's a lemon head. I mean, that's pretty cool. It's pretty genius. So if we start seeing a lot of bananas in the group, it's almost like when Grand Theft Auto got taken over by the alien squads, the green versus purple. That'd be kind of legendary if we can bring that back. Just saying.
It would be.
All the gamers on Discord, Twitter, and Reddit, make it happen. We also got one more video we wanted to show you guys at the top of the show. This was actually, I got two more. This is pretty cool. Well, not cool. I mean, every time I look at this kind of video where people switch from the console to the PC, did you have this same struggle, HenricK the Wreck?
I've been mostly a PC gamer most of my life, so I'm trying to think back. I think there was a bit of a struggle because, one of the first games I started to play on computers was Diablo 2.
Okay.
And that game, I don't know if I could ever play that game on a controller, honestly, but then you compare that to a game like Halo, coming from playing that on the Xbox, at friends' houses, and then all of a sudden having to use a keyboard and mouse. It was like, how does this work?
Yeah, exactly, because I feel like your fingers sort of turn into like a tarantula. That's what it looks like. So every time I see videos like this is clearly Father of the Year, HenricK the Wreck. This guy broke down a Nintendo 64 controller, put it inside his daughter's Mario Kart, and now they're playing it together. That's the way that I roll. You know what I'm saying? That's the only thing that I'm missing with my PC setup, because I kind of cheat. When I'm playing Apex, I'm bringing my controller in. I can't do it. I can't do it, HenricK.
So what do you think my fingers like when I play Apex, they're like all over, you know, all over the keyboard.
No, it's so true, dude. So this is definitely Father of the Year, but we want to thank everybody that's joining us for our third installment of Rage Quit video game talk show, where HenricK the Wreck and we discuss gaming news, industry talk, viral meltdowns, and so much more. So we might as well set the tone, get the party started, and let's get it on, baby.
Hey everyone, this is Pause or Repeat. Here we figure out whether a game is really worth your time and money. Today's game is Wild Hearts. What is Wild Hearts? If you've ever played a Monster Hunter game, this is similar. So expect to be fighting big monsters with melee weapons and lots of rolling and dodging attacks from said monsters. It being a Monster Hunter clone has its advantages and disadvantages. Some advantages being, you mostly know what to expect, and they can change things up from the usual Monster Hunter formula without upsetting long-term fans. The downside is, you might have a certain expectation of the game, and the game definitely is not as fleshed out as a long-standing series like Monster Hunter. But does the gameplay stack up to Monster Hunter's? Let's talk about that. The gameplay, like Monster Hunter, involves you preparing to fight and tracking down big monsters to then finally fight them. You'll also find yourself upgrading your equipment and your character's abilities as well. Wild Hearts does differ in one mechanic from Monster Hunter, however. That is, with a mechanic that lets you build structures to use during fights. Using these structures, you'll think up new ways of approaching attack or defense in a fight. What about the story? The story doesn't play a huge role in this game, which is standard for Monster Hunter as well. You play as a traveling hunter looking for work. Turns out that hunting the monsters you fight in the game is the work that you get paid to do. Simple enough, but the full story will still take up about 30 hours of your time, more if you decide to do side content. The game starts a little slow before you get the full experience, but the length means you'll have a good amount of time to play even after that. But now the question still stands. Pause or repeat?
So HenricK,
yeah, so
oh, sorry, I'm already jumping on you.
No, you're totally fine. Yeah, so this is Wild Hearts. It actually is a pretty cool game. You know, it has a pretty awesome aesthetic to it, and the gameplay is pretty fun. For me personally, this is a really an interesting one, because I want to say this is probably a pause for me, simply because I'm used to the Monster Hunter series, and that series, compared to this one, since it's so fresh and brand new, it doesn't have as much going on with it as the Monster Hunter series is, because that one's been around since forever ago, like 20 years at this point it's been around. But I will say it is good to have some competition, so I appreciate there being competition in that genre, because that pushes the Monster Hunter developers to do better, and also pushes this company to kind of try and be competitive, you know, and give a different experience other than Monster Hunter. And I think that they did try to, you know, innovate a little bit with the building mechanic, and
yeah,
you know,
I agree with you.
I think it's a good game. It's just not for me, basically. But I'm curious, what are your thoughts, Chris?
Yeah, I think Wild Hearts is definitely a game that you want to reserve when it's not $70. It's definitely a game that you would want to play. You nailed it so perfectly in that introductory video, where you got 30 hours of story mode gameplay, but there's not a solidified, you know, storyline. That always drives me up a wall when I'm playing video games. You know, I'm always invested in the story. So if I'm going to be playing 30 hours worth of content, I don't want it to feel like it's a nonstop side quest 24/7. You know, the building mechanics, they're kind of cool. It doesn't jive me too much. I mean, I know you got Monster Hunter vibes. I got a lot of Horizon Forbidden West and Shadow of the Colossus mixed with this. I mean, I think the monsters and the graphics are completely bitching, but I feel like after you finish the gameplay with so much, you know, games out there today, you're gonna move on, I think. And so I'm gonna label this as a pause myself.
No, I definitely agree. The whole comment you made about the $70, like I probably would wait for a sale personally. Like it looks like a great game, but $70 is a little much, and you know, considering there's other games I want to play more than this one,
yeah,
I'll wait for a sale.
I mean, don't get me wrong. The building mechanics is something new and different. We haven't seen it before, but we want to know from you gamers. This is a live show after all, so you can go ahead, showcase your comments live on air. We want to hear from you, but we're about to be transitioning over to our next segment, so it is time to rock and roll, baby. So let me get the cue going.
So this is patch notes. We get to talk about just things that are going on in the whole industry and gaming as a whole. Just recently, actually just this past Sunday, HBO finally finished airing The Last of Us, their big video game adaptation. And I think that there was a lot of criticism and a lot of good constructive criticism specifically. They did try to take a lot of cues from the game. We have a video up right now kind of showing a comparison of the TV series and the actual game cutscenes. It actually was a little interesting how they decided to change things up, but then also, you know, the game itself kind of plays like a video game that plays like a movie. So
yeah,
they didn't have to change a whole lot, honestly. Exactly. Yeah. So
you felt like the TV series didn't change up a whole lot, really? I mean,
I feel like it didn't change up the core things of the series. They didn't change a whole lot specifically when it comes to like the first episode, especially because that first episode played almost exactly like the video game, the cutscenes especially. But I will say the criticism I have is that the pacing towards the end was way too rushed. Like I just felt like they were going through it so quickly.
Okay, I'm so glad you said that because I felt like with the season finale, it was probably the most lackluster, anticlimactic ending to this series. I mean, I don't know why the industry feels like the new golden standard is to create TV series under like 8 or 9 episodes. Like if they needed to branch this thing out into 13 or 14 episodes, why not do that? And I kind of feel like HBO and Craig Mazin and Neil Druckmann are starting to figure that out because we are starting to get early reports that they're going to expand The Last of Us Part 2 into at least 2 different seasons. So that's a promising sign because I felt like as much as myself when I first heard that Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey were casted as Joel and Ellie, I honestly was a little bit frustrated about it because I felt like it didn't resemble who those people looked like in the video games. But then you come to watch the show and they have amazing chemistry, but they rushed it. I mean, and not enough zombies. I mean, didn't that infuriate you, HenricK the Wreck?
No, yeah, I think that's also one of the good points to make in terms of criticism because, you know, in the game, like every corner you're coming across some sort of form of infected. And in this series, I mean, there was awesome, you know, effects, practical effects for the infected, but you only had a handful of them. You only had a handful of moments where, you know, like there was the clickers in one scene and then there was a bloater in another scene.
2.
Yeah, and after that, it was like, okay, well, the rest is just fighting other people, you know? Yeah, humans.
And there wasn't a whole lot of fighting. I mean, even that last ending was kind of like, the slow-mo effects. I mean, I get that they were like on par with exactly with the video games, but I'm just afraid, I don't think people realize like how much of a game changer Joel did with his final actions in the season finale. But I did want to parlay this conversation with another talk, HenricK. And so we got these two cats. They are the creators of Final Fantasy and Castlevania. They were just recently on a panel for the Monaco Anime Game International Conferences, and they were asked about their 30 years of history shaping the gaming industry as a whole. And then they also kind of talked about why they feel like Japanese gaming has sort of fell off on a level. And so the reason why I'm bringing this up, HenricK, is because they also came out and said that the way that I see it, Sony is approaching video games as a more of a cinematic type of an entertainment, while on the other hand, Nintendo is closer in spirit with the toy manufacturer. What the hell does that even mean?
I agree with that sentiment. I mean, there's always been the meme for the past couple generations of games of the Sony over-the-shoulder cinematic experience. Think about all the big games that Sony gets as exclusives. You got Uncharted, The Last of Us, Horizon is even one of those, I'd say. They're all kind of just like over-the-shoulder camera angles, and you're playing as some character that goes through a crazy adventure.
But I don't know if they're talking so much about the visual elements. He's literally stating that Sony's so focused on building a cinematic product where potentially they're trying to link gaming and TV and film all together, while these cats that have been in for over 30 years won't leave their old traditional model to do something new and different. I mean, they continue to do the same outdated RPG games. I mean, we'll see how that goes. I mean, if Nintendo's the way to go.
That's necessarily outdated, though, because there's gonna always be people who want that over the more cinematic experience. Considering, me personally, I can enjoy a cinematic experience in a game, but if the game is sitting there and, I'm just eating my popcorn, watching a cutscene, I want to play the game. Come on.
Well, see, I would argue because I just... Come on. No, HenricK, I literally just finished playing a game called Judgment, which is based off in the Yakuza, video game series. I love the cinematic cutscenes, but then when I started playing the gameplay, it felt super outdated, especially for a game that dropped in 2022. So I think they need to sort of mix it up. But we have more gaming industry news that we want to discuss with you guys, so we're going to be moving it on. But Amazon is developed a brand new computer game called Alexa Arena. It is designed to harvest your information if you so choose to go down that destination, and they're wanting to do this kind of technology through video games so that it can train their robots on how to better interact with you. And so they don't have any kind of video game gameplay as of this time, but they do have a quick photo of what it looks like. So it, a lot of random nonsense. I mean, again, CNBC also had a video out talking about the mundane games, talking, like lawnmower simulator, tow truck driver. So if you want to remove a computer virus from an infected computer in the main office, by all means, HenricK the Wreck, this is your game.
I don't know why I would want to play that. That sounds like more work when I'm off of work and I'm not getting paid for it. Like, I maybe it's just not for me, but I'll pass. I will pass on that.
Yeah, it sounds like you're getting summoned to jury duty. You only get $15 for the day, maybe a quarter a mile for one way, and you're like, really? What's the end return? I mean, if you're able to test out Amazon products and get paid to do that, don't you think the same would apply?
I mean, you're right. It never feels worth it, So, I mean, this game might not feel worth it, really, but they're trying something. They're trying something different.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, brother. And I know, HenricK, what's going on in the world of Suicide Squad and Redfall?
Yeah, so Suicide Squad actually just got delayed. They showed a bunch of gameplay recently, and I feel like the internet collectively was just like, "This looks like a really bad game. We don't want this." So they, I guess, decided, okay, we'll delay it. We'll try and make it, a little better. But
I think people were hyped
one
about
of
the
the
cinematic
criticisms,
scenes and not the gameplay.
you know what? The more I see the game, the more I just look at it and is like, I don't think I want to play this game.
Really?
Honestly,
I
that's
mean, the
just my opinion.
Arkhamverse is freaking insane. It's a beautiful rendition. We're gonna get the last, voice actor role from Kevin Conroy, who did Batman.
That's true.
You really
That's
not
true.
excited for this?
Yeah, it looks so bland to me, honestly. Like, and I think that's a sentiment that a lot of people have. It just looks kind of bland in comparison to other games that are on the horizon and have already come out. Also, there's the criticism that it's going to be online only, meaning even if you want to play it as a solo single player experience, you still have to be online. What's up with that?
Well, yeah, you're right. I mean, Warner Brothers Games, they scored a hit with Hogwarts Legacy, and they're hoping that they're going to get the same approach. But after, Sony's State of Play, where they featured this gameplay of Suicide Squad, killed the Justice League, they got a lot of upset gamers because, why have to, not have the capabilities to do offline mode? Well, HenricK, what they're saying, along with Beasity, Redfall video game that's going to be coming out in the near future, they're saying the reason why they want to do this is because this will stop from cheating or piracy from happening in the future for studio developers. Is that really the case? I kind of feel like, HenricK the Wreck, they're trying to gear us to get ready for cloud gaming. What's your thoughts?
I mean, their reasoning that it stops cheating and piracy, does that really stop someone from hacking into the game? No. People are always going to figure out some sort of way to get around any DRM anti-piracy thing. There's even a guy who has such a raging hard-on against one of the DRMs called Denuvo. He's constantly trying to make sure that is removed as soon as possible. And it's like, who's really winning at the end of the day? Like, maybe the game company, they get a bit more of the sales at the launch because people can't pirate the game. But
Sure.
After, a couple weeks, the game is already piratable. So, like, what's the point, really?
Well, again, I think, with a little bit of that blockchain technology that they sort of try to work out with the Ponzi scheme of crypto, I think that's what they're trying to bring in the video game industry. And I know a lot of people are not happy about this because, when you do this whole online, single player, always online single player experience, this reminds a lot of people of Crystal Dynamics' failed approach for the Avengers game. Marvel's Avengers, where people don't realize they're actually going to be turning off the servers real soon. So all that time and effort that you spent on that game, it will be gone forever unless you actually got some streaming footage. Doesn't this remind you awfully a lot like Google Stadia with the guy from Red Dead Redemption? Are we all going to get a care package?
Like, yeah, they sent out the care package. It's like, that doesn't mean anything at the end of the day. Like, I just want to play the game. And you're shutting it down, and I can no longer play the game. And it's gonna suck, like years from now when people look back at the games that are online only and have been taken down, you can't play them anymore. It's like where was the investment? There was no investment. Long-term investment.
I mean, in the music world, vinyls are coming back. Maybe physical copies will come back because of how video game industry developers are seeing the future of gaming. But hey, let's move on to another gaming experience that's going to be showcasing all across the nation here in the United States. What they call it is a theme park in a box. So, in other words, otherwise known as an immersive video game, they're going to be coming to your mall, your centers, or local theaters. And we have a little bit of footage that can kind of give you that experience of what this all means. So essentially, Immersive Game Box is the name of the cube. It came out around 2019. It really exploded in the London, UK scene. Really all this is about, HenricK, is they got 4 white walls, they got projectors, and you put these visors on your head, which have different colors, so that helps the cameras in the corners of the room be able to pick out which player you are. But every time I see this, knowing that the games are controlled through like an iPad, this feels like it's meant for like 5 or 13-year-olds. I mean, do you get jazzed when you see this kind of stuff?
I mean, don't get me wrong. It looks kind of cool, you know, kind of fun, can be at least. But whenever I go to like a theme park or something, and they have those rides, like I think at Universal there's the Transformers one, where like
or the Simpsons ride, you know,
or the Simpsons ride, and it's like you're not really going anywhere, but like it makes it feel like you're going somewhere. That feels like a cop-out, honestly, because they just didn't want to make a full experience like a roller coaster or an actual ride. They probably saved money doing it that way, the less traditional way, the way with the VR headsets and projection screens and everything. But I really appreciate when a company decides to build out a whole roller coaster and, you know, puts out practical effects and animatronics. Like, that's all really cool.
Yeah, so you want some 4D experience. You want like a little mist to spray on you. Maybe a zombie bites you in the leg and someone grabs you by the leg. You know, you want to
feel the bugs crawling underneath you.
Yeah, because when I see this, I feel like I'd rather go to an escape room where I can actually touch things. Compared to this, I just feel like this is kind of freaking lame. I mean, when I'm looking at some of the titles I got here on in my notes, Shaun the Sheep, Championships, Temple of Coins, and Squid Game. That's gonna make you...
sounds also just like super uninspired.
Yeah, it sounds like a terrible mobile device game. So,
exactly.
Take it for what you will. Gamers, if you're all about that life, let us know what's good. But the last topic that we're going to be discussing today is Archangel Studios, the 3-person team behind Bleak Faith, have been accused of reusing assets from the Game of the Year game, which is Elden Ring. This is pretty wild. And HenricK, the reason why we wanted to talk about this during the show is because they clapped back, you know, Archangel Studios. They said any animations that were not made in-house are from the Epic Marketplace and have been up there for years, rigged to an Epic skeleton. If that's the case, HenricK, how insane would that be, knowing that a Game of the Year, Elden Ring, just reused assets that's available on the web? What do you think about it?
It would be a huge bit of controversy for sure, considering like I mean, a game doesn't necessarily need to be bad if they've used pre-made assets, but like nobody knew that they were using pre-made assets. So if that's true, that's crazy.
That is pretty wild.
I mean, I'd still say the game is good, Elden Ring, but like, that's crazy to me.
Yeah, I know, you know, no one's really kind of verified on Twitter. I know it really kind of started off on Discord, then it went to Reddit, then it went to Steam. A lot of these comment threads are being blocked because, you know, some of these moderators feel like the conversation's not really going anywhere. But we want to know from you gamers, because it's pretty wild. I mean, a lot of people even came out and said that, you know, some of the enemies like the Abyss Watcher from Dark Souls 3 is kind of identical to some of the enemies that are in Bleak Faith, which is the Archangel Studios video game. So I don't know about you. I feel like this is a juicy story. We'll definitely be following it if there's more information that comes out in the near future. But if that's the case, I wonder if the Game of the Year award show is going to start or the gaming award show. I wonder if they're going to look at this and fight back on all this crazy kookaroo malarkey nonsense. But hey, we want to thank everybody again for tuning in for our 3rd installment of Rage Quit, our video game talk show. So make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell. And HenricK, where can they see your content?
Yeah, so if you go to chriscollinsshow.com, I actually have a very specific page just for me and my content. You go ahead and follow everything there. But I am also on a bunch of social media pages, my Instagram page, TikTok, and Twitter, all places that I post things. So
rock and roll. And I also want to let you guys know I do a music podcast called Off the Fret, more music talk, featuring country Nashville star Amanda Cooksey. And I also got a live show this Friday on the Chris Collins Show, Millennial Talk Show, featuring Ryan Layson. He is an amazing up-and-coming director. Check that out. Follow me on social media, and you'll be able to know all the details with that mix. But for now, HenricK the Wreck and I, we will see you next week, gamers. So it's time to rage, baby. Peace out.
Time to rage.
Let's get it, baby.